covered in earlier classes. So, okay. So now I'm sharing it again. All right. Now it is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we'll discuss lesson planning. So lesson planning means how to plan your lecture or lesson, whatever you are going to present in front of your students, in front of the class. So earlier we have seen the purpose of teaching is to cause desirable change in the students. This is again important sentence. Sometimes they ask what is the main purpose of teaching. So it's to cause desirable change in student, right? Student is raw, right? He or she doesn't know what the subject or what are the topic, the content of topic, what does it mean, and all the details. So you have to present them in such a manner that they get the full, the learning should be fulfilled. Their motto and your motto as a teacher should fulfill. So successful planning is necessary on the part of teacher in order to fulfill this purpose. You have to make them to understand the subject or the topic. So a plan of each lesson should therefore be prepared properly. Now, what are the advantages? Again, it is important, the advantages of a written lesson plan. What are the advantages? It helps the teacher to organize his thinking. Sometimes the question asks, there are four alternatives, and then they make the combination to choose the right one, A, B, C, or A, D, B, like that. So that scenario, you should remember what are the advantages. And then next topic is what are the essentials of a good lesson plan. So the both get confused. They make you confused, all right? So just remember, first we see the advantages of a written lesson plan. What are the advantages? Because anything, if you write down in a proper manner, one by one, step by step, because when you are writing, you are not doing anything else. So you are fully concentrated on writing. So and your mind is also at a peaceful state. So you can think, you can make sequence, you can arrange them properly. So it helps the teacher to organize his thinking. How you'll start, how you'll proceed, and how you'll end your lecture. All right. And secondly, it increases the teacher's confidence and prevent him or her from losing direction during the lesson. Because sometimes one word or one sentence or one topic comes in between, and we engage, like teacher and student engage on to discuss that particular point or topic. So that loses their direction, the main the subject matter. So if you are in a proper way, you plan the lecture, you organize the lecture, that uh, the teacher's confidence also increases. He knows what to share, how to share, and through 60 minutes or 50 minutes, how much he has to or she has to deliver during the lecture period, during that time. So it increases the confidence, and also it prevents the teacher from losing direction during the lesson plan, during the lesson or during the lecture period. And then it helps the teacher to keep the teaching procedure and objectives in mind, because the main objective is to make student learn to so that they can get the maximum, whatever you are sharing, whatever you are delivering, whatever you are discussing during the lecture. Your motto should be they can get around 90%, not 100%, but 80 to 90% they can get from you. So that's why the teacher, it helps the teacher to keep the teaching procedure and objectives in mind. It ensures availability of necessary material and saves last minute rush to provide adequate arrangements and anxiety caused by such a situation. So if you prepared earlier, what material you need, if it is a practical class, and if you want some pre-practices for a particular asana or any advanced practices, so you need some props or you may need a particular material, or if it is a lecture, then if you want to project some pictures, then you should make sure that that projector or the slides, whatever is needed, it is all in a working condition or functioning will be proper. So all those things, if you prepare in advance, then the hard last time rush, it saves that stress or the time, and that's why you have to make adequate arrangement um, in advance. You have to make it properly, make sure all the things or the material or the equipments all are working properly, because it relieves your anxiety or stress which is caused by if it is not done properly at the uh, end time when you are just to you know um, start the lecture. So it also serves an aid for future plans. When you make your future lectures, you will always keep in mind what effect it did in your earlier lectures or earlier lesson plans. Now, what are the essentials of a good lesson plan? So it should be prepared shortly before use, not very many days before, but just a short time before you are ready to deliver, and should be specific and detailed. Specific means it should be to the point, and detailed so much, that much it is easier to understand for the students. And it should take cognizance of individual differences. You have to make sure that if there are some differences, then it should take into the knowledge, if your knowledge, and it should include statement of objectives of the lesson, statement of objectives of the lesson, then statement materials needed, then the description of the method and what are the procedure you are going to follow. This is all about for the practice session, all right, the practical period of yoga. Then the provisions for linking previous and future plans, because earlier you have started like standing asana. So first you start with Tadasana, then you will go to Triyak Tad, then Tirak Tadasana, then the triangle pose or Trikonasana. So likewise, your current practice should be, in link with your previous practices, and also it should be a preparation for the future practices. So provisions for comments by the teacher after the lesson, it is also very very essential. Yeah, if you are doing some lecture, whether it is a theoretical or a practical, uh, comments by the teacher you motivates the student, or they uh, the comment by the teacher, they attracts the attention of students. So whatever the type of method selected for teaching, it should be compatible with the purpose or desired outcome, and the best among available methods to bring the desired outcome. So that should every teacher should take this into account, that it should be compatible, it should be give desired output, and it should be best among the available methods, and it should be adapted to the activity to be taught. So it should also be feasible, taking into consideration uh, that you have to always keep in your mind that what is the time, how much space it is available, what are the equipments available. So you have to make uh, the use of those available things. All right, you can prepare or improve these things as the time passes, but just make sure the maximum use of this available sources. So the teacher should have the skill to use a particular method, okay? A proper orientation and understanding of the techniques and purpose of the method should be given to the students. The immediate goal of any yogic lesson is to introduce a particular yoga practice and its correct technique and give the feel of that practice to the participants of the lesson so that they are motivated to continue further practice and derive maximum benefits. Because sometimes what happens, because it's a regular thing, right? The student, it's not a 1 day or 2 day or a 1 week or 2 week work. It's a it takes a long period, long like many months or years to practice such subject in, because it is related to your uh, life, whether it is your personal life or your professional life. So these lessons, in between such a long duration, they may get um, distracted or lose motivation. They lose the interest. It may happen, but the teacher should introduce practices in such a manner that they feel get motivated, and because they get the desired benefits from those practices, so they also get motivated, and also they in their family or in their social circle, they also motivate other people to be a part of this practice. So this is important. In order to attain these objectives, the yogic lesson should be properly planned and executed. That's why it is very, very important. It should be properly planned and then it is properly executed. Now, there are some guidelines for conducting yoga lessons successfully. The first one is setting the atmosphere, the first and the basic thing. If base is good, then the further processes lead to uh, in a better direction. So a yoga class should begin with a calm and quiet, atmosphere. So it may start with a short prayer, with a prayerful mood. Now, if you sit for a while, just for a few seconds, doing nothing, just sit comfortably with your closed eyes, and if you concentrate on your breath, this will give you a peace, and if you start chanting Om or some prayer, it will drive you to a state of, a peace and calmness. So, as far as possible, some meditative posture may be recommended for this purpose, because if your neck and back straight, then your breathing procedure is good. Your spine is, if it is straight, then it gets strengthened, and also, the posture wise, you will be in a more comfortable state. So the student are asked to take their seats in a suitable formation first, and then this quietness, this calmness, and sitting, peacefully, and or you can say a prayerful mood. This creates suitable internal environment. Not only your body get relaxed, but your mental level, your emotion, they all also get settled. So this mood, creates suitable internal environment in the students, and for the conductive, for the yoga lesson. For this is the preparation, whether it is a theoretical practice or a practical practice, but you should start with a prayer, and just sit for a while for a few seconds in a meditative posture or any simple posture, keeping your neck and back straight, and just close your eyes. Just this is the stabilization of your not only physical body but your mental state also. Then the introduction to the practice. Now, what you have to do, you have to introduce uh, the practice, what practice they are going to do on that day, on that particular period. So the main part of the lesson starts with the introduction of the yogic practice. Now, this introductory part, maybe you can divide it into two sections. The first part, maybe, it's a verbal instruction with the background of the practice containing as much information about the practice as possible, starting from the initial posture, then how you will proceed to the final posture, because there are many asanas where in one day or 2 3 days you cannot reach to the final posture. It may take days practice, for like practice for few days to reach to that final posture. So you have to teach them how to proceed. This is also a main part of a teacher, how to proceed from initial stage to the final stage. That is a very good way of learning for the students how to proceed. And this part is especially intended to create the interest and motivation among the students, because when they start doing any practice, even sitting 5 minutes in a peaceful way in a correct posture, that also lead to a great change in their body and their physical and mental state. So, depending upon the knowledge of the teacher about the practice and his or her skill in the presenting the information, the teacher can take this part more interesting and more motivating. Because in yoga, it's not like other subjects. If you practice, you will get the result by your practicing yourself. So there is a little, need to push them. If they do it rightly, if they do it at a right time in a right environment, they are like uh, more into this practice. They get self motivated sometimes, because they are getting the benefits of doing this practice. So just a little awareness and a little motivation of a teacher lead to better quality of a student to come out. Then the demonstrating methods, the demonstrating practices. The second part, first you start with a theory, all right, the initial stage to final stage, how to um, proceed. And then the second part is maybe it is the demonstration part of that yogic practice. Although it is possible, to take the help of audio visual aids, like you can show pictures, you can show sketches, or some small, you can say, film clips. So it is more impressive, more practical, and desirable that the demonstration is staged by a teacher himself. The teacher himself will or herself will show how to do that asana, or any practice, whether it is a pranayam or a mudra or a bandh. So as far as the demonstration should be most efficient and faultless. All right, your body posture will be like perfect and complete, so that the overall image of the practice is presented to the student. Because for student, you are the master, you are the best. You can say person to teach them that particular practice. So they follow you. So each and every movement of your body parts will give the uh, perfect demonstration of that particular practice. So yoga practice through an audio visual means is also good, but when teacher himself demonstrates the practice, the students can relate personally to the teacher and identify more closely with the practice session. So there is more appreciation and more respect for the teacher generated through the demonstration because you are the guru for them. So they follow you. So in picture or in clips, it's good to show. But if you are showing it correctly, they'll have more respect because a live demonstration makes a difference. All right. When analyzing the practice, the whole demonstration of this practice, a particular yoga practice may be useful in forming an overall general picture, but it may not be enough to get the detailed stages of the techniques which requires analysis of that practice because you are doing it after so many sessions, after so many practice, after so many revisions, then that lead to that perfection in your body, in your movement. So this insight into the proper technique is gained only by analyzing the practice in its various parts because a simple asan, the final posture you'll get after starting, then after following certain stages, then only it leads to the final stage. So the various parts and then demonstrating them separately and then the finally how to combine them and do the postures. So the analysis of yoga practice is more essential when the technique is difficult, like if it is a noli kriya or if it is a you can say Shat Karma, you can say Adhauti Kriya, Vastra Dhauti. You cannot, the student or a Sutra Niti, they cannot perform at one in a first time. The first time when they start, they hesitate, they may uh, not be able to perform as perfectly as the teacher. So the teacher should, demonstrate properly the first what you have to do, what to take care, what the main things you should keep in your mind, what are the pre-practices. So when the practice is simple, the demonstration as a whole will be sufficient and analysis may not be necessary. But when the practice is analyzed and then demonstrated in parts, then it is desirable to supplement it with a brief and clear description about the technique. First, you describe it and then demonstrate it and then show what are the do's, what are the don'ts. That should you have to bring to the notice of the students the salient points of the practice because these points includes hints about do's and don'ts. So then the student individual practice time, when you theoretically you explain properly, you demonstrated it, and then it's a time to their students to practice individual practice. So when students sees a technique demonstrated, they naturally want to try it out themselves. So some you have to allot some time for the student to try it on their own individually and find out for themselves how successfully they are able to practice it because each student is different. All right, their capabilities and their interest and all are are different. So you have to like look after each and every student, how at what stage they are facing difficulty, then you have to help them. So while students are practicing, the teacher should watch their performance and find out what are the difficulties, what are the mistakes they are doing, what are the deviations, from the correct and the ideal performance of the practice. So he should correct the most obvious mistakes of those students first who are, practicing in a way that is detriment to them. And then point out some common mistakes that are committed generally so that they are aware in advance. So, a repeat demonstration of the practice as a whole and in part should be given to ensure that the point of correction has been understood by everyone. It takes time, it is not a task of a one class or two class, it's uh, a part of a routine in a teaching process. Then group practice. After getting the feel of the practice and becoming, somewhat familiar with the technique, the teacher may ask the whole group of students to perform the practice together. So under the guidance of the teacher in formal manner. So collective participation in the group is also an idea, to the individual about his performance in relation to the performance of the others. So they can see what the other student or the other classmate is doing, and what mistakes they are making or he or she is making. Individually, they can see if it's a group. So that is also mm, you can say a method, to correct themselves by seeing each other. Then correcting mistakes. Now the performances in the group by the students helps the teacher to locate any, performance that is not correct or deviated from the normal practice, and what corrections at what point they need. So this saves the time of the teacher because they can see, the teacher can see the individual performances in of the individual student in a group. So he can concentrate on those students who are, performing the technique correctly and not performing the technique correctly. If some students are performing correctly, and so he can say that those students who are not performing correctly, just follow them. All right, they follow those students who are doing it properly. So we can suggest that, and what modification they have to make in their performance. So this lead to, better practice, and what correction, what wrong procedure they are following. They know, the student know. Practically, if they know at that time when they are making mistakes, then it is a better learn. So they will not repeat it again and again. The yoga practices being, essentially it is individualistic. When they are performed by the group, then individual capacities, individual capabilities should be taken into consideration. Then giving instructions. Now, in the group practice, when directions are used, it should be remembered that this purpose is to suggest different stages of practice to undergone by in a succession by a group. So the instructions, the commands, maybe it's a very slow rhythm so that they are it should not be very jerky. In yoga, the all the practices, they are done in a gradual manner, in a slow manner, not very fast, not with a jerk. Like if you are in a particular asana, you have to be fully concentrated, keeping your breath into account, and then slowly you will do the practice as per your capacity, and slowly your capability, your stretching, your flexibility get improved, and at if you are a regular practitioner, at some point you will reach at the final position. So it should not be in hurry. All right, no brisk instructions. They should all avoid it in yogic practices. And due respect is given to the individual capabilities because each and every person is different. Their flexibility is different, their capabilities are different. For some people it's better to bend forward. For some the backward bending is good. Some it's like inverted postures are good. Some so it depends on individual efficiency or individual capabilities, you can say. Then repeat demonstration. Now, the performance of a practice by a group should be followed, by pointing out the lacunas still remaining in the performance of some individuals. But sometimes, for proper correction and avoiding the mistakes which are committed by students, so you have to elaborate on some points. They may need, more classification, more explanation. So you should repeat again and again till they get what this practice wants. What are the desired results uh, which should come out from the students? So repeat practice. Guru should be repeat the practice or of that technique. Then repeat demonstration. The teacher should demonstrate and clarify the main points again and again. And then rest period after doing certain practices, because you start with prayer, then some loosening practices, then step by step repeated practices. So you have to give them some rest period. After group practice is over, the student may be given rest in the form of shavasana. That is the yogic way of relaxation of not only your physical body, your mental body, your emotional state, all get relaxed, so that you are prepared nicely. You can prepare yourself for the uh, other tasks to perform on the day. So when more than one yoga practice is introduced, it is desirable that Shavasana is practiced at the end of the lesson. And sometimes even after some practices during the lesson, if it is necessary, you can do that. And before the end of the lesson, the teacher would be well to sum up the points considered as important for correct and efficient performance of this yoga practice. And he could also induce students to ask questions related to the practice, so that there is a good imprint, uh, whatever practice is introduced in the class. So it will be better way to get remember all those things. The memory of the students, it will be in their memory. To sum up the precise steps to conduct the yogic lesson, the whole process includes creating the environment first with a prayer, then establish the concept of a practice by verbal instructions or introduction, then complete picture of yogic practice through some demonstration, then analyzing the whole performance into suitable part or stages, then allotting time to individual practice, then group practice, then detection and correction of the mistakes, then giving instructions. So all, and then again giving the complete demonstration with clear explanation of various stages which involved in the practice, then again practice by the group, again providing complete picture. So you have to repeat it, all right? And then rest at the end. So all these stages, all these, the steps, you should remember, one by one. Their sequence is also important. So these are the important points. So the main purpose of this type of lesson would be to teach a new practice with all details of that technique. It is very much useful in delivering the proper methods and procedures to the students. All right. And emphasizes this continuing practices to those techniques already learned, and then you have to link already learned and what they are learning now, and how it is necessary for the practices which they are going to perform in the coming days in the future, so that the original technique are not forgotten and their appropriate health benefits are derived. Now, in a practice type of yoga lesson, there are groups of yogic practices undergone. So the practices are meaningfully chosen from among the known techniques, and there is some sequence based on the principle of progression. And as far as possible variety of the groups of yogic practices are chosen for giving maximum benefits to some stretching or relaxation or some breathing techniques, and then meditation. So the practice lesson should also follow the pattern given earlier, where you start with a cool and calm, quiet mood and ends with again a general relaxation with meditation, with savasana. So this is the ultimate experience which is given to the participants in the lesson. So the yoga lesson could be also a mixture of about two types, and this is all about today's lecture. There are some hints for conducting a lesson on meditation, so we'll see tomorrow this topic. If you have any problem, let me know in understanding the thing. Yeah.